Good afternoon, my name is Dorothea. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and today I like to talk a little bit more about Sufism, that part of the Islam religion, the mystics of that part of Islam, and then I think I can close up with Islam. Okay, so let's start. The Sufis, they are also called dervishes, whirling dervishes, because they dance so quickly around themselves, continuously twirling one hand pointing upward, reaching for the divine, and one hand pointing downward towards the ground, signifying the connection to the here on earth. It is said that Sufi mystics are using mathematics as a form of their asceticism to cleanse themselves and become closer to God. I read a little bit about it and I found out that the mystics, the Sufis, that they are very good in mathematics and they can really contemplate the best when they do mathematical problems, and then they get lost in themselves, and then that relates well to the whole thing of their mysticism. I didn't know it, but I googled and I found it out, so that's why I'm sharing it here, okay? They say mathematics is a sacred science. It allows the mystic to better conceive things that transcend categories or space and time. Mathematics help to act as a medium for expressing the inexpressible. The concept of zero, of infinity, of limit, of number and relations between certain numbers, for instance, they are such concepts. In one sentence, the whole of mysticism is rendered as journey from being to non-being, or from 0 to 1, to use the language of mathematics. Then they ask in the whole research, they pointed the question: have you ever wondered why we say God is one, when the case is that God is not one of a series or in any way a particular entity or being? Why are odd numbers sacred, and why do mystics often use certain numbers, and why plays numerology a big part in almost all cultures? Then they go on and they ask, why is mathematics the language of God? Mathematics is inscribed in the structure of the universe and even living phenomena. Mystics use the language of symbolism, which is mathematics, to explain phenomena. There is even a Sufi who developed a so-called mathematical mysticism, and his name is Ibn al-Sid of Badajoz. The first person who was called Sufi is the Persian poet Yami, and his full name is Abd Allah ibn Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiya. He died 760. Another Sufi called Ibn Hazm, he emphasized universal love. There is another Sufi called Ibn Tufail, whose mystical allegory called Son of the Living Awake made him known in the Islamic philosophical tradition. There is another Sufi, Ibn Baya, who treated the concept of intellectual and mystical intuition as the faculty that experiences divine realities. There is another Sufi called Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti. He came to India from Afghanistan with the army in 1192 AD, and after he came to India, he also decided to stay there and to live there from then on. Now we come to Rumi. Rumi is a great mystic and Sufi poet who said love is the bridge between you and everything. Rumi has been described as the most popular poet and the best-selling poet in the United States. He was born in Afghanistan, September the 30th, 1207, and he died in Turkey, December 17th, 1273. Rumi's family lived under the Persian Empire, but they had to flee from invading Mongol armies, and they emigrated to Konya, Turkey, sometime between 1215 and 1220. Rumi's life changed forever when he met a stranger who put a question to him. That stranger was the wandering dervish Shams of Tabriz, who had traveled throughout the Middle East, searching and praying for someone who could endure my company. Shams of Tabriz, when he met Rumi, he asked him who was greater. Was it Muhammad or Bestami? And Bestami was at the time a Sufi mystic. So when he posed the question to Rumi, who was greater, Muhammad or Bestami, then he also pointed out that Bestami said of himself, "How great is my glory," whereas Muhammad had acknowledged in his prayer to God that we do not know you as we should. So Muhammad said, we do not know you, meaning God, as we should, while Bestami said, how great is my glory. So Rumi's answer to him was that Muhammad's answer was greater. Shams and Rumi became inseparable friends from then on. They were good friends throughout their life because they just worked together very well. So Shams of Tabriz has finally found a person that endured his company because he felt nobody understood him. He was going through life alone. Nobody ever cared much for him. And there he met Rumi, and they just connected instantly and had this deep friendship that lasted throughout a lifetime. Sufism, oh yeah, and before I go on, Rumi, here it is the book, Rumi, the poet Rumi. It's a wonderful book that has all kinds of writings from him, and so that's the Rumi that we talk about, okay? Sufism is not a sect, it's more a broader style of worship within Islam. Yet confusion is common. even among Muslims who do not truly understand Sufism. It's pointed out that Sufism is a religion of Islam. They are Muslims, but they are just so different from the normal Islamic people that even in Islam they are misunderstood and they don't really all know exactly what they are doing and what does it mean what they are doing, okay, because they are deep into mysticism and that's hard to understand for anyone. So for a common person it's difficult to grasp it, what it means. So that's the reason why they are confused. Even the own religious followers, they sometimes have trouble to understand completely what they are doing, okay? If they do not care to find out and investigate and things like that, then they do not know much about it. So Sufism is not a sect, it is more a broader style of worship within Islam. Yet confusion is common between different followers of Islam. Sufis practice on the renunciation of worldly things, the purification of the soul, and the mystical contemplation of God's nature. Followers try to get closer to God by seeking spiritual learning known as Tariqa, T-A-R-I-Q-A, Tariqa. Some of the world's most beloved literature, like the love poems of the 13th century Iranian jurist or lawyer Rumi, that book, was produced by a Sufi and a Muslim. He was both. Rumi, he later on became a Sufi because he met his friend, and this is how he got into that more and more, okay? And before he was just a normal believer of Islam. But Sufism, often known as Islamic Sufism, has over years come under violent attack, where militants storm Sufi mosques to kill Sufis or to assault Sufi shrines to show their dislike or hatred against Sufis. Some Islam fundamentalists and extremists, they see Sufism as a threat and they see Sufis as heretics. Some Islamic Sunni states target Sufis because they believe that only a fundamentalist form of Sunni Islam is valid. So these fundamentalists, they think that only Sunni Islam is valid, not a Shiite strand of Islam, okay? Some fundamentalists see the reverence of saints common in Shiite Islam as a form of idolatry, because in their view one should only worship God. Having saints and adoring them is seen as a sin. The opponents of Sufism see the shrines of these living saints, namely the Sufis, as idols, and they say that such worship violates the main principle of Islam. Because Islam, we have learned, are against idols and against everything that puts a person higher than Allah. So they say that Sufis, by being these mystics and people looking up to them and give them special respect, that's a kind of idolatry, okay? Sunni hardliners not only say Sufis say that Sufis are heretics, the Sunni hardliners not only say that the Sunnis are heretics, but they also say that the Shiites are so, because during history many militants used pickaxes and bulldozers to destroy the ancient mausoleums of Sufi saints in Timbuktu, northern Mali. Although Al-Qaeda has also targeted Sufi sites, the Islamic State as a whole has itself kept out of such attacks. So it's mainly in the tribal communities and between the Sunnis and the Shiites that this is going on, but the Islamic State as a whole doesn't want to get too much involved in it, so they try to keep out of it. Okay, it's regional. Wherever the region is, they have these fights going on, doing the things they are doing. Religious objections of fundamentalists within Islam to the Sufi style of worship might not be the only factor behind the attacks on Sufis. Experts say that the close ties between the Sufis and the Egyptian government may also be a factor here. Imam Faisal, an Egyptian-American imam, he lives in America, he said that attacks on Sufis and Sufi worshippers are not only a major sin, but also the power given to politics to interfere with religion, which this Imam Faisal calls not good. So that was the rest of the Sufism and a little bit about the different Sufists who did writings about Sufism and about their experiences. Like when I read it, the ones they are having a mathematical mysticism, then they have this mysticism of love and things like that. There are lots of writings apparently from Sufis and their experiences when they dance and they get in a kind of a trance and get lost between the here and now, and they merge together with God on a higher level, and that's by the fundamentalists of Islam not accepted and not liked. Okay, so that was it. It was short, and I think I covered most of it because there's much more, of course, but the main things I talked about, the main things I tried to bring to your attention, and I think that's enough of Islam. And tomorrow or on Saturday, I think I'm starting with Judaism. I start with Judaism, how it developed, how it came about and all that. And so we will do that. After that we do Christianity. When I'm finished with Judaism, I like to do the Christianity. And then I think I have some fun things after that, because then I like to talk about the Indians, the Indian tribes that settled in America and in Alaska and things like that. And I like to talk about shamanism of different countries of the earth that had it. They had either shamanism or they had medicine men. and things like that. We talk about that. I have lots of notes on that. They are very interesting notes. So that will be fun to learn about the different Indian settlements in America and how they did things, the customs that they had, the different customs and things like that. I think that will be interesting. But first we do Judaism, then we do Christianity, then we're finishing up on those things, then we come to the shamanism and the medicine man and things like that. Okay, so that's for today what I have for you. I hope it was kind of interesting, and I hope everybody has a wonderful day today. And so that's it. Okay, bye bye.